I brought her in. What's going on? Why are there? Why were we suddenly called here? Did someone get sick? I'll bring preparing a compress stat. No. Talking. What do you call me here for? Did something happen? Yeah, you're fucking senile. Dr. Young, Miss Jensen, you have my gratitude for taking the trouble to come here. This won't take long, so please relax. It will take long. Tell me what in blazes is going on. Of course. We called you here because something came up. Coordinate. Just what are you planning? There's something fishy here. Bonnie Young, under the divine rule of law, please answer truthfully. There were no mistakes in your autopsy report, correct? Granny would never make a mistake. That's certainly strange. Huh? What's strange? This court has found an error in Dr. Young's autopsy report. Dr. Young, please tell the truth. Did you falsify the autopsy report? Like she'd just say yes to that, but the answer is yes. That's terrible! How can you accuse her of that? I have no idea what you're talking about. Why would I do such a thing in the first place? To protect the true culprit, of course. What you talking about? I would never do such a thing. How strange. In that case, why would there be an error in the autopsy report, I wonder? Prosecutor Edgeworth. What do you think? I don't think anything. Oh, I expected you to press into her statement like you normally do. Why is she taking control of the situation and trying to help me? I don't know what her goal is, but I must play along. If the autopsy report you gave to Sebastian has been authentic, then the error should not have been there. Wait a minute, I didn't do anything! That is what we will figure out from this point on. Firstly, Dr. Young, I'd like to hear your testimony. I mean, she told you that. Like, not just Sebastian. Why do you want to hear her testimony? It would be pointless. I will be the one who decides whether or not it's pointless, not you. There are patients waiting for us. But Granny... Anyways, we don't have time for this. Is there any way I could convince you? This is of the utmost importance. Mr. Miles Edgeworth, Granny says she'll testify. So please try to finish this quickly. If we don't return soon, there'll be people in terrible suffering. And yet, you were lollygagging about on the viewing platform earlier. I promise you, this won't take long. Only if she tells me the truth, of course. It means it'll take forever. Error in the autopsy. There are no mistakes in Granny's autopsy reports. I've been working with corpses longer than you've been alive. There's no way I'd make a mistake in writing the autopsy report. Now, I got nothing to gain from falsifying the autopsy report. Is what she says. See? There's nothing strange at all. Yes, that's right. You know, there's no way she would falsify it, you see? Under the name of the goddess of law, do you swear that this testimony is the truth? Of course! Granny would never tell a lie. We're asking Dr. Young. We do not need to hear from a third party. I'm not a third party. I'm on Granny's side. If you've raised an objection to my testimony, you'd best prepare yourself, you ex-prosecutor. I'll definitely expose the contradiction in the autopsy. Well, she said that she didn't make an error in it. So, probably press it. I want to press this rather than just present it first. The victim wore this raincoat after suffering a blow to the head. And yet there was not a single drop of blood on the front of the raincoat. Therefore, it is impossible to be the head wound to have been post-mortem. Well, that's... Ow. I don't need you to tell me that. That's what I wrote down on the very beginning. Ooh, is it? The autopsy reports the head wound was post-mortem. That's completely different. Yeah. I relayed to Karen what to put down in the autopsy report. After that, it was none of my beeswax. Relayed to Karen? Please elaborate on that. I relayed everything to Karen. After that, it was none of my beeswax. So are you the one that faked it? I would like to verify once again what you saw when you examined the body. Like we said, ow. Oh, well, about that. She was done in by a thump on her noggin. Dr. Young, do you know when that happened? Before she died, of course. The wounds on her chest were post-mortem. That's why I relayed to Karen, so that's what should have been written in the report. That's what you relayed to her, eh? I'm finally beginning to understand something. Cool. Cool. Sit down. Dr. Young, please confirm that this autopsy report says it with your very own eyes. I can't read. I'll read it out. Sweats. Sweats. This autopsy report wasn't written by me. What? What do you mean? I don't know. But Granny, I can't say that. Granny's gonna beat the shit out of you. Miss Jensen, if you're trying to keep the truth in the dark, then in place of the goddess of law, I shall hear your confession. Judge Courtney is talking with Dr. Young in private. What? Is that true? Understood. I shall convey your words to everyone else, Dr. Young. I properly relayed the autopsy report orally to that child. It seems my granddaughter must have mucked it up when she was writing it down. Wow, she mimicked her voice perfectly. Nah, wish I knew that. There's no need for her to go that far, though. In other words, the contents of the autopsy report had been falsified. By your hand, Miss Jensen. And with that, we've proven that the wound on her head came first, followed by her chest wound. Miss Jensen, why did you falsify the autopsy report? Hold on a second. She never said she falsified it, you know. She just made a tiny mistake when she wrote it down. You told her to do it. Post-mortem and ante-mortem. Sound kind of similar, you know? They're complete opposites. There's a very definition of falsification. Miss Jensen, why would you lie? Okay, ow. I want you to tell me, too. Why would you do something like that? What? Granny? But Because you falsified the autopsy report, Kay fell under suspicion. Tell me why you did it. I can't say. I just can't say it. Yeah, it's because what's-his-face told her to do it. 1,000,000,000%. Not, I don't want to say it, but I can't say it. You're all a bunch of bullies, you know? Ganging up on this poor girl who loves her grandmother so... He probably threatened her grandmother. She's totally unrelated to this. I think you can forgive her for one tiny mistake. It's not tiny. That won't do. Aren't you the one with the most to lose if she testifies? What are you saying? You see, as a former prosecutor, you'll have to speak a little more clearly, you know? Very well. As you wish, I shall answer clearly. Miss Jensen played an essential role in this case. She was an accomplice. Miss Jensen falsified the autopsy report in order to assist the true culprit. Ow! This girl is an accomplice. What's your basis for that claim? It was impossible for a single person to commit this crime in the first place. The crime could not have been committed without at least two people. Namely because... Fuck. The report could have been faked. Couldn't have been faked. Fuck. Oh, God. All of these could. Shit. Okay, no, you can move the victim's body by yourself. 1,000,000%. That's fine. She's probably not that heavy. If I had to guess, probably like 120, 130, 140. Somewhere in that range. That's fine. Someone can move that. Especially with the elevator. Number of people wouldn't match. If she was a customer, that would make sense because there's 11 people there. The report couldn't have been faked. This is where it's like both of these are technically true. Fuck. Because you can't fake a report by yourself. You need someone else to do it. Otherwise, someone can just back check you. Oh, God. Number of people wouldn't match. We made a big deal about that earlier. So, like, what I would assume is that she was still there. Oh, God. I don't want to lose more health. I don't know how much more I'm going to need it. Right? I mean, like, oh, God. I've just taken so many fucking beatings. But I feel like... I don't know. We made a big deal about it literally right before they showed up. So I feel like it's going to be that. Because there were 11 people there. She did buy something. So that part didn't make sense unless she snuck in, which is not what Lotta said. Fuck. I'm sweating, dude. Jesus. Because it could have been either of those two. That's what's, like, really confusing. Like, I guess you could make the argument that it could have still been falsified either way. The old lady could have done it, technically speaking. She could be lying to Karen here. If the conductor was the culprit, and one of the auction a guest was the victim, it would contradict the witness testimony that there were 11 people after the incident. What now? You got a problem with my testimony? No. That's why I just said what I did. No, not at all. Rather, it's because I believe your testimony. That's why the accomplice must exist. So, you still want to admit that your reasoning is wrong? Up until now, we had not even considered the possibility of an accomplice. However, if there had been an accomplice, it changes the entire story completely. If the accomplice took the murdered auction guest place, then the number of victims remains 11 people. Oh, I see now. So that's what you're thinking. But you know, wouldn't that have been quickly discovered? No, actually, it wouldn't have. Believe it or not, voice changers and the outfit. Miss Jensen and the victim have similar physiques. If she wore the victim's mask, she could have easily taken her place. Miss Jensen, did you switch places with the victim? I wouldn't... Why is the old lady sweating? Who was the conductor? In other words, tell me who the true culprit is. I can't. I mean, that would also cause trouble for Granny. Ow, ow. But Granny, I will accept whatever wrongs you may have done. Just tell me everything. Granny! Pop it off. Oh, Jesus. As I thought, it appears you really were the accomplice. Miss Jensen, why? Miss Jensen, would you please tell us? Yes. It's okay, Granny. I'm fine now. I switched places with the victim, Miss Crane. So, you admit to being the conductor's accomplice? Yes. I helped out the conductor. I don't really know why, but for some reason, the conductor was expecting to be attacked by Miss Crane. The conductor expected an attack from the victim. They were so sure it was going to happen that they came up with a plan to counter it. A way to beat the victim at her own game. And that's when I was called in. I was told to wait in the storeroom before the auction began. Whoa there, you ain't fooling my eyes. If you were waiting in the storeroom, I reckon I would have bumped into you. After all, I've been up in that storeroom the entire auction. She was inside the box. I'm telling the truth. I wonder about that, you know? Can we really believe a girl who would falsify a report? Yeah, now he's gonna shuffle her right the fuck under that bus. Wheeled her out for the defense, and once you're useless, dump her down the fucking shaft. Bye. This should have been many places to hide in that storeroom. And by all means, tell me, where did our little nurse hide? The place in the storeroom where Miss Jensen hid was this crate. Billion%. She hid herself in this costume trunk. A costume trunk, hey? Ah, now that you mention it, that box was already there before I snuck in. I figured I would hide in there myself, but it was wrapped up and nice and tight with a chain. And it was locked too, so I had to give up. I suspect that when you sneaked into the room, Miss Jensen was already inside the trunk. Yes, it would have been bad if one of the guests from the auction had opened the lid. After instructing me to hide inside, the conductor wrapped a chain around the costume trunk. I think they went downstairs using the lift shortly thereafter. It was right before the auction. So when the auction began, only you and Miss Hart were in the storeroom. They would have heard everything. Yes, that should be right. The auction had been going on as usual, but when a certain participant made a winning bid, the conductor committed the crime. Miss Hart must have heard the altercation that occurred then. You betcha I was trembling behind that there statue the whole time, though. Following the altercation, Jill Crane was murdered. After killing Jill Crane, the conductor carried her body to the costume trunk and switched him out. And Miss Jensen, who had been hiding in the trunk, was made to take Miss Crane's place. The victim's body was placed inside the costume trunk. And the conductor then took Miss Jensen, who had been made to look like Jill Crane, and returned to the auction hall as if nothing had happened. Oh, you know what? What had ended up happening is she woke up. She was just knocked unconscious. He thought he killed her by hitting her over the head. She woke up, started walking up the stairs, so she had like blood on her hands or whatever, probably because she hit her head, like she felt her head. She went upstairs, then collapsed. Later, conductor ended up coming back, looking for her body. Went upstairs. That's where K is. He hits K over the head. Fucking massive brain right there. Was this roughly what happened in the storeroom during the incident? Yes, that's right. Pulling the old switcheroo with one of the auction guests. Ain't that impossible? That gal and the murder victim are two completely different people, you know? Don't you reckon one of the other participants would have noticed and caused a ruckus? No, not at all, actually. The reason they didn't notice the switch was because she probably stole the victim's clothes. From what I can tell, Miss Jensen and the victim appeared to have a similar physique. Furthermore, there was a rule requiring a mask to be worn during the auction. I was going to say because of the voice changer, but there wasn't listed, so clothing it is. If their clothes were the same, I doubt anyone would have noticed she was a different person. Yes, I blended right in. I borrowed Miss Crane's clothes and... Ow! You mustn't embarrass the dead like that. I know. I also thought it was pretty heartless to leave her exposed like that. So when the conductor wasn't looking, I covered up in the raincoat that was up for auction. So she was the one who put the red raincoat on the victim. And then the auction resumed as if nothing had happened. I reckon I took a picture of her in the red raincoat after that. That'd make all the facts line up. After I took that photo, I went over to the lift and peeked down below. I went to the 11th participant, and then I hightailed it back to the statue. Don't tell me you were hiding there the entire time until we found you. Nah, that's, how should I put it? What is it? Did something happen? I didn't mention it before, but after that, I might have dozed off a little. To be more precise, I fainted? Well, something like that. Something like that? So something did happen. Ain't no big deal. Kinda embarrassing to say, though. There was this huge thump sound all of a sudden. I was a little surprised by that. That's Kay hitting the fucking ground. It was right after that I had just witnessed a murder, so I was just shaking in my boots. My heart sort of tightened up, and I was off in La La Land. When I woke up, it was already the next day. Around that time, y'all came by the storeroom. I see, so there was a large sound. Miss Hart, I take it you do not know what transpired in the storeroom beyond this point. I guess. But after the auction, all the masks were properly returned. So I reckon the participants had exited through the storeroom, just like I done said. Miss Jensen, what were your actions after the auction resumed? I took the victim's place and participated in the auction. The conductor instructed me to win the bid for the costume trunk, because the body was inside of it. It would have been bad if another auction guest won the bid for it. He didn't realize the box was empty. No, we only found out when I came up to the storeroom to pay the bill. That's when he went upstairs, saw Kay, threw her down, and was like, "Get the fuck out of here, bitch." The conductor was with me and told me to go search for her immediately. And then I found another girl collapsed in front of the ladder. Never fucking mind, what? Wait, how did Kay... Yo, is there fucking 3 people? Someone push Kay down, okay? She's not just fucking falling down a hole. Yes, she probably fell down from the roof and lost consciousness. Maybe the victim left the hatch open when she went up to the rooftop. I understand now. Kay was surprised at seeing the collapsed victim and did not notice the open hatch. She must have missed her footing and fell down into the storeroom. I don't believe that for a fucking second. Look, Kay might be cute dumb, but goddamn, she's not fucking stupid. Miss Hart, I have determined the sound that made you faint. It was likely the sound of Kay falling into the storeroom floor. That might have been it, though I reckon it would be kind of pathetic to faint over something like that. When Miss Jensen found the unconscious Kay, Miss Hart was also unconscious behind the statue. The situation is becoming clear to me. Miss Jensen, please continue your story. After I found Kay and the victim, I put both of them in the trunk. What the fuck? If the customers at the auction found out, there would have been a huge commotion. Was this an order from the conductor as well? Yes, it was. But since I secretly decided to put the raincoat on Miss Crane, I disposed of the raincoat without the conductor noticing. So the conductor didn't anticipate the raincoat becoming another piece of evidence. And finally, we dressed Miss Kane in a spare conductor's outfit. I see, in doing so you made the victim appear as if she was the conductor. In the end, the auction ended without anyone noticing anything. Miss Jensen, your crimes have become clear. If you know anything else, please don't hold back. I want to help you more, but that is all I know. If I had to say, there's just one thing that bothers me. When I took Miss Crane's place, I borrowed her clothes, but there's no way for me to borrow her hair. Ow. What kind of coroner is this? It goes around stealing a corpse's hair. I would think that robbing the deceased of their clothes would be questionable enough. Both the color and the length of our hair is different, so I was worried about how to disguise it. She has like dark brown hair, right? Or just light brown hair? I mean, yeah, it's like light brown, I guess. Okay, this is like way more blonde looking, but like, okay. However, the conductor even had a wig prepared for me. In fact, he had 2 of them. 2? Inside the costume trunk, there was both a straight wig and a wavy wig. What? Why? 2 wigs? Why were there 2? Who knows? Maybe it was a precaution in case the victim had changed her hairstyle. Ended up using the straight wig to match Miss Crane's hair. So that means the wavy wig was left unused. Where the fuck's that? Is that really all you know? Yes. Yep, that's really all I know. So that means you don't know who the conductor is. I'm sorry, I only knew that person as the auction conductor. How did you get into contact with them? I never saw that person without a mask on. The conductor seemed to be on guard towards everybody. At this rate. Edgeworth, is that all you've got? Even if that little nurse is an accomplice, it changes absolutely nothing, you know. And then the true culprit is still Kay Faraday. All you did was add another criminal, you know. The rule of law cannot be overturned. At least, not for your sake. For mine, yeah. This is as far as I go. Am I unable to save Kay? Hey! Francisca, why are you here? Didn't I tell you, Miles Edgeworth? Wherever there's a case, I will follow. Prosecutor Von Karma, your hard work is most appreciated. However, don't get the wrong idea. I only came here to find out the truth behind what happened to Kay Faraday. I don't plan on forgiving you for abandoning the prosecutor's path. I understand. You should thank your former subordinate. He gave me some valuable information which may save Kay Faraday. Detective Gumshoe dead? Since when's he useful? Listen well, Miles Edgeworth. This will be the final piece of evidence. Jill Crane suffered the head wound first. Yeah, we know. Thanks. Wow, Francisco. Damn. Well, someone say something. Well, I hate to say it, but we already proved that. Already proved? Yeah. Well, just a few minutes ago. Ow! You should have told me sooner. You're the one who barged in here and started talking. I couldn't have gotten words in edgewise. Well then, does that mean you found out what the murder weapon was already? No, not yet. Huh. Is that so? In that case, listen well. It's just the bottom of the candelabra. The victim was struck on the head with a blunt, cylindrical object. The wound on her chest was suffered post-mortem. Cylindrical murder weapon. Objection. You know this report of yours. I trust it's accurate, of course. These were the reports of 2 independent autopsies carried out by 2 respected doctors. Objection. That's reassuring, but it's too bad. You have no right to investigate this case. Interpol is after the black market auctions, and I'm the prosecutor in charge of the investigation. The victim participated in the auction. Therefore, it is only natural for me to investigate. Especially now that she's been murdered. I see. Clever girl, little Von Karma. She's gonna beat the shit out of him. And it's been settled. The victim died from blunt force trauma to the head. Thank you. Unfortunately, the murder weapon is yet to be found. Just knowing the shape of the murder weapon gives me an idea as to what it might be. Hey, in my investigation, we didn't find any other murder weapons, you know? If you consider the conductor's possessions in the crime scene, the answer should be clear. The blunt cylindrical object used in the auction hall was... the auction gavel, right? Nice meme. It was something the conductor had in their hand during the auction. Namely, an auction gavel. An auction gavel? We didn't find anything like that. If the culprit is the conductor, it is possible that the gavel may be the murder weapon. However, that alone is not reason enough. Wouldn't you agree? Of course, I have proof to back it up. This piece of evidence proves that the murder weapon is the auction gavel. Oh god. Oh god. Oh, the sound of the gavel was not heard afterwards. Oh, okay, cool. According to Miss Hart's testimony after the victim had been murdered, it seems she suddenly stopped hearing the sound of the gavel during the auction. Yeah, probably fucking broke it on her head. However, she had been able to hear it up until then. Why was that, you ask? I feel like most gavels are fucking shit. Like the head, where the head is, where it meets the shaft, It's so fucking tiny. Always. I mean, it will hurt like a bitch, but it's definitely not gonna kill someone. It was because it had been used as a murder weapon and was covered in the victim's blood. It became necessary to dispose of it. Isn't that right? Blaze de best. I'll have a search for the murder weapon and performed immediately. Well, good luck with that, you know. I already burned it. You've got to work as hard as you can while you're young, you see. He's completely confident that we won't find it. Yeah, because he's probably fucking dumped it into a dumpster somewhere. Well, then, while the search for the murder weapon continues, I hereby call for a brief recess. Thank you. I need it. Heal me! Heal me! Please.